Millie, if you're talking to us, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's going to be a very special meeting. We have new commissioners joining us today, so we have quite an agenda. So let me just pull up before we do the roll call. All right. So let's do this. The first item on the agenda, call to order the meeting, and let's do the roll call.
Okay.
Karen?
Yes. So Chairperson Marta Hay.
Here.
Vice Chair Bond.
Present.
Commissioner Lynn Boldenwick, I'm sorry.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Bowen.
She is not here and I think told us previously she won't be able to make it.
Okay. Commissioner DiNatale.
Present.
Commissioner Foley.
Here.
Commissioner Francis Lester.
Here.
Commissioner Maharaj.
Oh, Karen, I think he's connecting now.
Okay.
Just in time. Commissioner Maharaj, we're doing roll call.
Oh,
We just got to your name.
there we go. Perfect.
Commissioner Pomposo, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
Lydia, you muted. Here.
Okay, perfect. Commissioner Ramos. And Commissioner Zelaya. Oh, I think he's connecting. Commissioner Zelaya.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Commissioner Zelaya. We're just in the midst of roll call, so you came just in time. We're just getting started.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, yeah, and that's perfect because this is our next agenda. We're gonna welcome our new commissioners here. So Angela, should I just ask them to talk about themselves a little bit?
Yes, that sounds good.
Who wants to go first?
I can go first since I'm a little late. Hi, everyone. My name is Jose Zelaya. I am currently a project director for College for Working Adults at Kenyatta College at Redwood City at Kenyatta College. I have been born and raised in the Bay Area, specifically in Daly City for about 30 years now. I'm honored to be a part of this commission. And I look forward to contributing to our community. I currently live in South San Francisco. I've been here for about 7 or 8 years now. And I am looking forward to, creating impact, creating change, and most importantly, getting to know everyone here, part of this community and this commission. So it's been a pleasure, and thank you, everyone. Happy to meet everyone here.
Oh, thank you and welcome. Thank you. That's Jose, right? Jose is the first name?
Yes.
Commissioner Zelaya. Welcome, Commissioner Zelaya. All right, who wants to go next?
I will. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm Francis Lester. I reside in South San Francisco. I've been here almost 40 years. I graduated from San Francisco State U, major in psychology, and rehabilitation counseling is the master's degree. I'm a former probation officer. I'm an Episcopalian. Let's see what else. I'm very involved in the community. I live in Westboro area, and I'm encouraging our citizens to please get out and vote. I was on the personnel board, I had to resign in order to be on this wonderful, being a commissioner. I also have been Park and Place Commission. It is an honor to be on this Culture, Arts, and Commission. And I hope I can bring something to the table that will continue to enhance what you're doing. I enjoyed the show. It was really nice, the art show, Culture Art Show. And I made, as I said, some purchase. I'm also a member of the Seroptimist. I took it there. And so whenever we have a fundraiser, they certainly will support us. And thank you very much for letting me be a part of you.
Good evening,
Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
everyone.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Francis. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lydia Pomposo, and I've been a resident of South City for over 40 years. I have 4 children. They all went to all the South City schools, including El Camino. And then I have 5 grandchildren, ages 5 to 10. I enjoy art. I've taken classes at Skyline College, so I like to sketch and draw. And my work has been exhibited at some of the federal buildings and programs. I'm retired from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and I worked there for 40 years, okay? And my work was reviewing veterans' disability claims, working with veterans who claimed PTSD, sexual trauma, traumatic brain injury, diabetes, Agent Orange, and all the different kinds of disabilities. I worked on the diversity programs at work. I was the coordinator. And for example, for Black History Month, I worked on the programs with the other coordinators.
Yes.
And I, as I mentioned too, we had LaToya London. She was one of the, I think she was like the 3rd place winner at American Idol at one time. And she was one of our singers. And also we have Asian Pacific Heritage Month, where we had all different speakers like Fred Lau, who was the first Asian American police chief in San Francisco. And then also we had Bubba Paris of the 49ers, who provided his insight on leadership. And then also for Women's History Month, Women's Equality Day, all the different programs I worked on. So I'm happy to be in this commission, and I look forward to contributing, and so happy to meet everybody today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pomposo. Sounds like we're very lucky to have you, and Commissioner Luster, welcome. Sure, we could definitely use some of these connections that you could bring and enrich the commission. We're looking forward to it. All right. So any comments for our new commissioners? Questions? If not, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to say, we're going to approve the minutes. Any changes to the minutes of the September 15, 2022?
Chair Marta, hey, I think we skipped the agenda review.
Oh, sorry. Yes, let's do the agenda review. So we have the approval of minutes. We have citizen participation, unfinished business today. We have the new business, and we have the deputy director of capital projects with us today addressing the commission. Then we're going to go over the subcommittees and items from commission, and then items from staff, correspondence. And I think that's it on the agenda today. All right. Agenda item 5, approval of minutes. Did everybody get their packets in the mail and were able to
Yes.
review the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So we're moving forward to the approval of minutes from last month. Do I get it? second to approve?
I second.
I think we need the first motion and then the second.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I'll take
motion to
Francis
approve.
Lester as making the motion.
did someone do the motion?
Yeah, we'll
I
do
thought-
motion to approve.
Oh, okay.
I think I heard Commissioner Lester make the motion and we just need a second.
I second.
Okay.
Okay,
I heard
and
Commissioner.
we
Campbell.
approving. We're gonna approve. No one objects. Okay,
Thank you.
is that officially approved?
Yes.
Okay. So we're moving on next to our citizen participation. Do we have any citizens participating in today's commission?
None today, and I don't think we've received any public comment. Right, Ersie?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. I'm gonna move on to unfinished business, and the first item is the 2023 art shows and the dates. I'm gonna give it to our cultural arts specialist, Ersie.
Thank you, Millie, Chair Mardahay. The first item is the 2023 art show schedule, the media selection. I think Acting Director Dildalao has the goals and committees list that she's going to share with you, and we'll reference it. It is in your packet to see, and I'll, well, if you're looking for it, I'll just go ahead and continue. You will see that the media selection has been decided for the first show. I have updated that, and if you'll look to the lower corner, the 2023 exhibit dates show right there in a magenta box. The first show was decided under the chairmanship of Commissioner Bond to be a two-dimensional art exhibit, which she will speak to a little bit later on under the subcommittee report. However, and the second show already pre-decided to be the youth art show, that in partnership with the school district. So what is left is the third show, which is scheduled for May 12th and 13th, and the fourth show, which is scheduled for October 13th and 14th in 2023. And what our request is that the subcommittee chairs select the media they want for that show. Now, in addition to that, you'll see bullet point in your agenda that it was brought up at the September meeting that one of the shows be dropped to focus on fundraising activities during the summer of 2023. So at this juncture, what we're looking for from the committee or from the commission is to decide the schedule, media, if you are going to have your shows in May and October, and if you're going to drop a show, to give us your decision on that as well. So at this juncture, I guess I will turn it over to subcommittee chairs Risha Bond and Lynn Boldenwick for their comment on this.
Yeah, I would like to comment on the May show. Specifically, I brought up this idea to add to the agenda for discussion around potentially dropping the May show in favor of other activities. We had a very successful barbecue fundraiser in August of this year, and we're going to have another barbecue fundraiser next year. As you can see, it'll be August 27th in 2023. I recognize that there is some time between the March and August period. That's part of why we chose, I believe part of why we chose the May date for the art show. However, I wanted to bring up this idea of potentially canceling the May art show in favor, which is, going to be adult art and we've been lately inviting members of the community starting at age 16, but we've been the idea of potentially canceling the show, which it does take some work from the commissioners, in focus of a different fundraising activity or a different art awareness or community art activity. We've had some various ideas, and I'm not suggesting any one particular idea to replace it, but rather freeing up our time between March and August for other activities.
Doesn't this leave us without either a photo show or adult artwork?
Well, I would suggest, first of all, the January show is two-dimensional art, and it also has a theme, which I can talk about for the subcommittee report. But the two-dimensional art in January does also invite photography, so doesn't photography can be folded into that already. And I would also suggest that depending on we've had very successful we've had very successful October shows. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it very well, but the October show is also something that could include photography. So I'm personally not suggesting that we exclude photography from the other adult art shows.
So,
Oh.
hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So in lieu of that, what are you thinking
That's what I was
to
thinking.
do? I mean, it's good to, I'm all for doing something else, but what?
Well, Michael has his hand raised. Perhaps he would like to chime in.
So I wasn't sure how I felt about this one way or another at first. Hearing the proposal to drop it brought up a couple ideas. One thought is that our fundraiser takes a lot of work, both in the city side, but also our side as commissioners to develop it, produce it, do the community outreach, donation, solicitation. Like that's all done and driven by commissioners. And the thought that came up was we might have the opportunity to still have an adult art show as part of that barbecue fundraiser and really focus our efforts on soliciting really early, like taking that time that we would solicit artwork for the May show to solicit true artwork donations for showing at the fundraiser, but as donations that can be auctioned and support the youth art scholarship.
I love that idea.
Maybe we could combine both of them and really blow out that fundraiser even more. Just a thought.
I see Zubin also has his hand up. I love that idea.
I was wondering if we're talking about art. Is there a way we could, for the May 12th or 13th, or in lieu of that, have a performing arts fundraiser of some type as well? Since we were talking last time, and we've been talking for several months about having a performance aspect in our group. I don't have a specific. I haven't thought it out. I'm just throwing it out there for right now. I can put more color and context around that as we talk further, but just throwing it out there.
That's certainly another great idea and potentially complementary to what Michael just said. As you are I believe the sole member right now of Performing Arts Subcommittee, we could set that day aside as appropriate those days, potentially pick one of those days as appropriate for something that involves performing arts and maybe even community engagement.
I just wanted to add that during the fundraiser, a huge portion of it was dedicated to performance arts. And I don't know, Zubin, if you really want to chair it, I would recommend that you do it during the fundraiser. There's exposure is amazing. It's definitely needed rather than do it like a separate show in May. I would just combine it with all the other ones, like the art one, and just do a big show for the fundraiser. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm totally for that. I'm finding that the more the acceptance of where performing arts can come in with the group is as a sidekick to another event going on before we start doing, again, my proposal several months ago about, kind of a series of shows, if you will, either at a business or hybrid or whatever the case was. So if this seems to be kind of the entry point of having the music side by side with another art event in that regard. So I'm happy to start talking more about that and start planning for that.
Risha, would that something work? Like if we'll drop the May show, we'll just incorporate that into the barbecue and it's going to be like a blowout. It's going to be our biggest show of the year.
I think that's a great idea. As Michael pointed out, the barbecue is a lot of work, and the idea that I brought this up last general meeting was to kind of talk about how to focus our efforts, and that fundraising is very important to us. So if we have fewer scheduled events, but more like concentrated, more efforts. There were huge efforts our last barbecue, but just to manage our time, our expectation, our efforts. I think that's a great direction to really focus that on having the next barbecue be even more special.
Yeah, if I could just add to that performing arts piece, lining up those performing artists for that event was a great challenge. And I know it always is a challenge of ours to line up performing arts in our events. It's something that we've historically always wanted to do and always have tried to do, at least for the openings of the art shows. Usually there's music and performing arts that would accompany that. I think the spaces have been limited to some degree because of the nature of the space that we've been in. But I think in 2023, with, as we're continuing to do this, we have a much greater opportunity to really feature both performing arts and visual arts as one. And I think both hold equal value. So I don't want it to seem like it's just a sidekick or an afterthought. I want us to really get to the point where these two things hold each other up equally.
Sure.
And I second that, Michael. I think it was absolutely amazing. I think if we didn't have that performing arts portion, and I don't want to say it would diminish it, but I think it definitely amplified it, and it was definitely, like in its own thing. So we could see the potential right there. The people absolutely loved it, and I think they're looking forward to it. So I'm glad that we are shaping this. Any other comments?
Do we pay the performance artists? I think that's a good idea. Do we pay them, or do they volunteer?
No, this is a volunteer donation of their time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the
So
sorry, just clarification on that. For the fundraiser, it was a donated performance. Since we were raising funds, we were willing to pay for it if we needed to, but again, our main goal was fundraising, so we tried all avenues really. And then for our other events, I think Ursi could speak to it a little more clearly. I believe we paid the performers that we had for the Dia de Muertos event that we just held.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner DiNatale. Commissioner Luster, we try to get our performers to volunteer their services. For our youth art show pre-COVID, we always had performances that were at volunteer level for the most part. On occasion, we do on a rare occasion do we pay a performer. And as Commissioner Di Natale said, yes, for the Day of the Dead, those performers were a paid act. So we hope, we try and hope for volunteer, but sometimes if the desire and the need is to have a particular artist or something that requires payment, then we try to make it happen if we can.
I understand. I just thought I may know some artists and I'll make them feel guilty and let them know it's a fundraiser. So that's why I ask.
If they could donate, we can definitely share with you during the subcommittee
All
talk.
right.
But yeah, absolutely. If they could do that, that would be our priority to get donations first. We
I'll
really don't want
try.
to take away from the fundraiser. That's the whole point. We want to keep as much money to
Exactly.
give it to the youth. But that's amazing that you have contacts already. That's
Right.
great.
Is it, can the artists that perform have a letter that's like a donation in kind so that it's deductible as a tax write-off?
I'll have Ursi speak to that. What was our disclosures that we had them sign? Something to that effect, right? That says that they
Well,
are.
do we give them though a letter that says that their donation was of such a certain value so that they can claim it as a tax write-off?
Because it wasn't appraised, so there was no monetary value attached to the performance. Can't say that we can't give them that, right, Ursi?
I don't recall ever doing that, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't been done. I do know we always send out thank you letters to all our performers or volunteer for all our art shows as a follow-up to what happens. But can it be? I will direct over to our deputy director or acting manager. Any thoughts there?
I don't, I think it depends, like if it's a organization who's representing.
Oh, sure. I mean, not an
right,
individual.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I can't say I know all of the legalities. I don't see why we couldn't. We don't assess the value, but we could say, thank you for your 20-minute performance for the barbecue fundraiser. And
I think we can
well,
check.
that's always an alternative in other groups that I've belonged to in lieu of a stipend.
Yeah, I think we can check with our finance department or city attorney. I'm sure they have an opinion on that, but it seems like it would be doable. I mean,
yeah,
art certainly has value, even though it's sort of intangible. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, but we can check on that.
Right. You have to consider the taxes. I know taxes come in to play, I believe, when you write those letters. But I'm not an attorney, so.
Having donated art before to organizations, the artist names his price, whatever he says it's worth. That's what he can write off. The government may look at it and go, well, I don't know if that cup is worth $1 million or whatever. But it's the artist that makes the call on what their time is worth.
Okay.
I have one more question. If we drop a show, what's the likelihood of being able to get it back?
Is it a one-time thing? My understanding it was a one-time thing.
I was suggesting it as a one-time thing, especially because in 2024 we may have more resources.
And I'll respond to that as well. Yeah, as a reminder, or that next year is our transition year from this current building that we're in to the new building. That will take up a lot of the summer, as I understand it. In the new building, there'll be new facilities, and so the potential for new kinds of art exhibits or bringing back that is certainly there. So I would say to not not think that that it's forever canceled. I think it can be brought back in 2024.
All right, if everyone's agreeing, should we just make it an actionable item and vote on it so that we agreeing to drop the 2023 May show for that, just that one time?
Chair Marta, before the commission votes, I just want to mention Commissioner Bowen is the chair for youth art programs, which includes fundraising. So I don't know if the plans for this extent, that's right, Michael, you are a part of that. I just wanted to note that she isn't here, but fundraising would fall under that subcommittee. And so I don't know if you think her comments need to be weighed in to this.
I think it's my personal feelings that she would support whatever the commission at large supports for this. She and I had spoken, and she asked me to give the update for the thing a little later on, which we don't have an update really for youth arts or fundraiser this month. So I'll just jump there real quick, but to let you all know that there is interest in breaking the youth art programs and the fundraiser back into two separate subcommittees instead of one as it was combined, because we had lack of
If that were a committee, instead of just that blanket, everybody will work, I think whoever is on that committee is taking on a big job, but nonetheless a much appreciated one. And it should be a committee that starts work as soon as the barbecue or whatever we call it is over. The next year, we should start sending out letters requesting donations. We can't wait till 2 months before and get any results.
Yeah.
And that's been my position since I came on the commission. So I haven't felt that we were doing justice to the barbecue by waiting till the day of and then everybody taking a job. We should be participating during the year.
And I think that was identified.
I would like.
Challenge.
Oh, sorry, Michael.
No, that was identified as the greatest challenge, is just the perception that it was all on these two or at one time 3 people for all of it.
Exactly.
I think dropping the May art show only helps, with freeing up bandwidth for earlier planning on the barbecue. That's part of the intention, and so hopefully we don't have to do something else in place of it in May. It can be more like just longer pre-planning and spreading out the work for the barbecue. That could be one way we use that time.
My concern basically is losing the staff time.
So to be clear, we'll be voting on whether to have another fundraising event in lieu of the art show or not, that just fundraising, whatever committees. Is that it? Not going to have anything except fundraising, whatever.
So I would propose, I don't know if this is like a motion that I can officially propose, but I would propose that we vote today to decide whether or not to drop the May art show. The actual, whether there's a different event or it is simply to free up bandwidth for the commissioners to focus on the August barbecue, I would suggest would be a separate topic. But I put forward the motion to drop the May art show for 2023 and only 2023.
I would second it.
Okay, Karen, can we please have a roll call vote?
Okay. Chairperson Mardahay. Vice Chair Bond.
Aye.
Yes. Commissioner Boldenwick.
Yes.
Commissioner Bowen is absent. Commissioner DiNatale.
Can I abstain from that? Once Lynn brought up that last question, I don't feel like I have enough information in that conversation to really make my decision.
Commissioner Foley.
Yes. But I would like some event in lieu of that. Fundraising if possible, but not mandatory.
Well,
Commissioner Luster.
Yes.
Commissioner Maharaj.
Yes.
Commissioner Pomposo.
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos is absent. And Commissioner Zelaya.
Yes.
I believe the motion passes.
And then just logistically, can somebody else put up a motion for what we do at the time instead, or is that something that we should discuss at our next general meeting?
I think just to clarify, I mean, we are drafting the show, so I think my understanding is so we could focus on the fundraiser, especially with everything that we planned this past year. And Michael, you can help me with this. We want to kind of help out the subcommittee that's responsible for it. And I think if we are not focusing on that May show, we could just offer assistance because there's a lot to do. Unless you want to do another show and the fundraiser.
that's not what we voted on.
So, and I think, Millie, the thing is that the shows, that's really city staff doing a lot of that work on those shows. It's really not commissioners doing much until the week of the show, as we're hanging, installing, accepting art, docenting the show, and then returning the art. But so I think where Lynn's question is if we're dropping the May show, are we losing city staff? Well, where are those hours spent on the show going? And will we truly be using those for the fundraising event and really innovating and developing this fundraising event from that perspective? Where my other question comes from is, in the past, we're told that the city really can't do much. There shouldn't be doing much on the fundraising front. It should be commissioners doing it on the fundraising front. So if we're not doing much as commissioners for an art show in May anyway, then we're already asking for commission support. Whether there's an art show or not an art show, we're asking for greater commission support on a much earlier timeline leading up to that event. So it's, and let me know if I'm wrong, Lynn and Risha, it's really, what are we doing in lieu of that art show? Where are those efforts being directed from the city's perspective? Is that what I understand?
So I think part of it is that the city staff will be focused on transition to a new building in the summer. And I think the other part of it is that it may not be a huge burden on commissioners, but it's definitely a distraction and a burden versus having, not having the art show. And so if you would like to put forward a motion that we focus in May on starting getting organized for fundraising activities for the barbecue or some other fundraising activities, I think it sounds like the vote passed. And so now we can put forward what we want to do at that time instead for the art commissioners, at least.
So I would like to put forth a motion then to really start that timeline and those efforts, redirect the efforts that we would have had for the May art show toward solicitation of donations, art, support, all of the outreach pieces, and get that started on a much earlier timeline. Zubin has a question. Is an opportunity second.
Yeah, I mean, we have city staff here. I think I'm glad we're bringing up the motion now, but I think it'd be good to know city staff, Angela, Ursi, Greg, what can you folks do, and what are the limitations? What are the guardrails of what you can do for the fundraising in August, so that we know, so that we can then vote on how we need to put the verbiage around this next motion that we're voting on.
Well, I think it really depends. I was trying to think, from a city staff perspective, what I was hearing is we're dropping the May art show in lieu of an enhanced fundraising / art show event. I think from our perspective, if like, let's say we're putting our efforts into an August 27th art exhibit of some sort, if it was free and open to the public, some portion of it, then that is could count potentially as one of the commission's art shows. And there's some feedback about how this year's fundraising event where we were selling tickets for food specifically, but maybe that's a model that works. And if that's the case, and if, we're not requiring people to pay to come see it, I think there could be some room for city staff to still support, that art exhibit function as we have been doing. And I don't know if Greg has anything to add. That's sort of where I'm saying, well, I'm still hearing there's a desire for an art exhibit. Yes, there's still some ideas, it sounds like, about getting artists to donate and contribute to the fundraiser. But I think as long as some portion of the event is free and open to the public, then we would do that side, and then you all would do the silent auction, the food prep, and whatever else is coming with the fundraising portion of the event.
Then you're working on 2 fundraisers at the same time, one in May and one in August.
No, I think we're talking about the August one, and Angela, it's very clever thinking.
Just the August one is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Greg, you're the highest up on the totem pole here in the Zoom room for city staff. If you could answer that, that would be great. What the limitations are.
I agree with Angela. I also am just thinking, like, we have so many other events where there's sort of this captive audience, and I think of Concert in the Park, and how can we get this group sort of participating in that and really engaging that group. And that may be a conversation we have too, and next year as well. Maybe there's some role in, maybe there's some fundraising function we can do there. If we do the booths again next year like we did last year, maybe we can do exhibits out on the lawn or something. Or so there may be something there as well. I'm kind of just thinking about.
Yeah, or even the possibility of our new building, how that lends itself to, an event like this. It's just unfortunate, I feel nervous about committing to something as early as August 27th in our new home. It's early to.
Should we defer for until maybe after Christmas, or do you guys want to still put it for motion? Or should we just defer till November before Thanksgiving? Because I think we're gonna skip Christmas. This motion. Michael, what do you think?
When are we forming new subcommittees or inviting entry into subcommittees?
I think it's on the
end of the year basis, similar.
Percy, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are addressing some of that later in the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, actually, it's item 3 under unfinished business. So that
That's next.
discussion will be forthcoming.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's literally
My-
the next item.
My thought is if we defer this to January, then the fundraising subcommittee, hopefully a much more robust fundraising subcommittee, can have the opportunity to really hash this out and then bring it back to us to save time.
Okay, should we do that? What do you guys think? That gives you time to think about it, just everything you heard, digest, and we'll just defer this to January. Sounds good?
I guess I'm just kind of thinking, not to derail this or take it off. I'm just thinking the fact that it's brought up, the fact that city staff is talking about and seeing what ideas where they can insert themselves to help out, and the fact that we're already talking about, we know there's going to be more of a heavy load on the commissioner side to be involved in this. And it seems like for them, again, just finger to the wind here, it seems like a lot of people are on board with this per se. It might be worthwhile to at least put, it's going to, that's a few months down the road in January. I get getting the subcommittee together. It's not going to be till August. So maybe between January and August, that's enough time. But my understanding from this last youth art event, it really was a lot of effort, but it was very little time to get everyone going. So I'm just wondering if we should vote on the motion. Again, I'm not looking to put too much pressure, but we're already getting, the reason I brought up what can city staff do is just to engage in the conversation. If we have the motion, it compels city staff to talk more and crystallize some things so that we know where they can help out. And then we also are setting the guidelines of where us as commissioners are going to be involved and get this going as well.
Well, and if I can just add one thing, I hate to complicate, I don't want to complicate this more, but there is an opportunity, and it shouldn't really impact this, but it does kind of add a layer in the potential fundraising aspect for the commission. So the San Francisco Opera has reached out to us with some interest for possibly hosting a pop-up event at Orange Park. I think their tentative date is in March. I was waiting to hear a little more about if that was actually something they were going to move forward with. We haven't received any kind of confirmation. They're putting their feelers out. So I'll have to follow up with Erin on if she's heard anything from them since that last discussion, but it just adds another opportunity here for us.
They basically reached out, are you all interested? And we were of course like, yes. And I think our Cultural Arts Commission would love to be part of this. So we've kind of kept it not under wraps, but we are just trying to get some confirmation from them that they are actually serious, that they want to work with us, because they've been entertaining other cities. So I think that could be an amazing.
That would be amazing. Can I just jump in? So yes, I have my 2 thumbs up and a head up.
Did you say the San Francisco Opera?
Yes.
All
seems
they're
like-
Wow.
at this point,
Oh.
they did reach out, and I think we're on a short list of cities are considering. So
with that
Opera
information,
Park is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also just thought about it. I would love, since this is Sarah and Michael's subcommittee, I feel like Sarah should be on this conversation deciding. So I'm strongly in favor of not putting the motion forward until we actually have Sarah and Michael and the subcommittee and Urban Art and Fundraiser kind of talk about it.
I apologize. I had to miss the last 2 minutes. My wife just came home, so I'd open the front door. What was the good news of what I missed the Cliff Notes on who's going to help out?
It has nothing to do with the Performing Arts Subcommittee. You don't need to hear about it.
Okay, no worries.
Just kidding.
Did you hear the part about the opera?
No, I didn't. That's what I missed. I missed like the last.
I
2
think that's what everybody's
Oh,
excited about. The possibility that the San Francisco Opera has reached out to us about an interest in holding a pop-up event at Orange Park. So yeah, I was waiting to just hear some final or stronger certainty from them that they were actually considering the South San Francisco. But to the extent that we can kind of urge them to give us an answer, given this discussion and the 2023 calendar, maybe we can follow up and have more information by the November meeting, if not sooner.
That brings me
If
to
there's
the
anything we can do as a commission to support that, let us know. I think this is even
that's
more
great,
of
but
a
we
reason.
can't look at it as a fundraiser.
No.
Definitely. I mean, we can always, share that the commission would love to have you and would definitely support this endeavor. So I think it's 3 days as proposed. It's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show, or is it 2 days?
Wow.
Or maybe it's 2 days with 3
I think
showings.
it was 2 days. I don't.
Yeah.
It was, 3 sounds long, but maybe it was.
It was 3 showings for sure. It might be 2 days with 3 showings.
What are the dates?
It's all TBD, but in March.
Yeah. If this is true and we have more details in November, this is going to be one heck of a meeting for us to discuss because I just can't wait. I would probably cancel more shows if I could, so we could focus on that opera, but not the fundraising. Yeah.
To Lynn's last kind of question or interjection, though, sorry, Lynn, did you mentioned something about it relating to a fundraiser? Kind of brings up a question of if there are fundraiser opportunities for us during one of those events, one of the 3 events, even some sort of seating premium, or I don't know what it could
I think absolutely. I think it would be a very ripe opportunity for some sort of fundraising, or if you want to do something, maybe it's kind of like Friends does at the concert, beer and wine sales. They sold, I don't know, $5,000 worth of stuff at the concert. That's before, you net out their expenses, or I don't know. There's probably a few different options we can talk through.
I'll be there all 3 days.
It's all very tentative at this point, but knock on wood. And I think mentioning we have support from a group such as yours would go a long way. And so we can pass that on.
Great.
Okay. With all that information in, so are we in agreement to postpone this until January? To postpone this discussion? Because the motion passed that we are dropping the May show, but we haven't decided what we're doing instead. So we're postponing that until January. Are we in agreement about that?
November, you mean?
No, we could revisit in November. Absolutely, sure.
I would suggest we revisit in November, not January. January just seems too far away. So at least let's have a touch base on it in November.
I know from the staff side of things, at least just revisiting it in November would be helpful because as we always say, our facility calendar fills up very quickly. So if there are certain things you want us to look into that impact our facility usage and staffing, it's helpful to know now. This is around the time of year where we try to preload our calendar with city functions.
At least to save a time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's put that on the agenda for November. Sure.
Okay.
Through the chair, I just wanted to give Subcommittee Chair Lynn Boldenwick the opportunity to select her media for October 2023. I don't know if she has some plans. If so, it would be good to know them as well.
I would like to keep Day of the Dead and enlarge it. I would encourage next year for dance opportunities and more music. And I don't want to get into this year's now, but I think it has a lot of possibilities and it definitely does involve the community. So that's what I want for October. And if not, we could even carry this into early November. I noticed that Redwood City and Colma are all doing theirs the week after, and we're doing ours a month before. Now, it doesn't bother me. I don't really care whether it's October or November, but I would suggest that we keep it. That's it.
Are we still gonna be in that building next year, or where's it gonna be?
Supposedly at this time next year, according to the city newsletter, we will probably be in the new building, but you know how that goes. If it
we
rains
do.
or who knows? Yes, there you go, Millie. Thank you.
I think if it is in the new building next year, it definitely should be blown out to be more of a festival. I think
Even
there
if
is
it's
the
not,
opportunity.
there's so many possibilities for that, and so much of the community that we haven't even tapped into. So, and we haven't really had any particular reason to do that. But with the people that, like Eva, there's got to be others, and she's connected to that community well. So, I suggest that we keep it.
And actually, to that point, Lynn, though, I do think that we should extend it from mid-October through the first week of November. I think we could extend it by use of the interior art hanging spaces in the new building, or the ones that are supposed, we think are going to be there. I know a lot of presumptions right now, but are we able to plan and kind of think of that as a mid-October to early November exhibit?
I'd leave that one up to Ursi and Angela.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our hopes for the new building. So definitely a possibility.
Okay. Ursi, should we move on to the next one, the sub item, the cancellation of the December meeting?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair Martahay. So for the purposes of informing or reminding our current commission and informing our new members, just a couple of items related to this action. Traditionally, the Parks and Recreation Commission and the Cultural Arts Commission are asked if they want to cancel their regular meetings twice in a calendar year. One time in the summer and one time in December for the December holiday season. These cancellations, meeting cancellations, allow commissioners to take time off for, in the case of December, holiday and year-end commitments without it being counted as a meeting absence. The Cultural Arts Commission historically has always elected to cancel December meetings, with the exception of the 2020 pandemic year, that year a meeting was held. The subcommittees, in any case, can convene if they so desire during that time. And in as far as staff and what happens with them, the staff continues with the commission's work during the interim. Some of those items include preparation for the January 2023 art show, preparation and promotions. With regards to the public art master plan, at that point, the phase 2 community engagement process will conclude in November. However, then the consultants will begin the phase 3 tasks, which include synthesis and plan outlining. During that time, staff and the Strategic Vision Steering Committee will be available to the consultants for any questions they may have related to those particular tasks. The other items that staff will be dealing with will be year-end preparations, and in this case, probably purging, and year beginning preparations of hard copy and virtual documentation. The individual subcommittees might have goals and tasks that need to be researched and addressed, so that will continue during that time. Preparations for the March Youth Art Show will begin, and fingers crossed, opera. Transition also begins or actually will continue, because it's already started, for the anticipated summertime move to the new building. I also was told that the Park and Recreation Commission has decided to take the December meeting off. So they have canceled their December meeting. So to all this, the question to the commission is, as an action item, would they like to cancel their December meeting?
I put the motion, yes, cancel the December meeting.
I second the motion.
Roll call. for vote?
Discussion. Okay, Chairperson Marde,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bond.
Yes.
Commissioner Boldenwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowen is absent. Commissioner Dinatali,
Yes.
Commissioner Foley. Commissioner Foley,
Yes.
Commissioner Luster,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Maharaj,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomposo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos is absent. Commissioner Zelaya,
Yes.
Did we get everyone?
Like the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Ercy, so I think we have the third part of that, right?
Yes, after this, you will not hear from me. So finally, we get to that question that was brought up a little earlier related to subcommittee reorganization. And again, Acting Director Angela Dildalal will put up that 22 goals and committees list so that we can reference that. At the at the September meeting, the commission discussed the possibility of merging the Performing Arts Subcommittee and the Community Engagement Subcommittee. So this is this item is on the agenda referencing that particular request. And for the benefit again of our newest commissioners, I'll just give a very brief overview of the 22 goals and committees list. So as you see there, the 2022 list reflects 9 different subcommittees, strategic vision, youth art programs, which actually is 3 different subcommittees, which includes the scholarship, the fundraiser, and the youth art show. Following that, the sculpture subcommittee, urban art, community engagement, performing arts, and then there are 3 additional gallery exhibits. Show 1, show 2 is typically the youth art show, show 3 and show 4. So underneath those various subcommittees, you will see that at the top in these columns are listed the chairs for the subcommittees and the members that are on the subcommittees that have been in this year 2022. Although commissioners can request to change request a change in their membership in any subcommittee at any point during the time of the year, traditionally at this time of year, we want to provide all the commissioners the opportunity to select or change their subcommittee preferences. So if they would like to opt out of a subcommittee, move over to a subcommittee or a chairmanship, this would be the time of year we would conduct a survey to find out what commissioners would like to do. We also want to ensure that every cultural art commissioner has the opportunity to provide input in setting goals and priorities for the upcoming year. So to obtain this feedback, we will be creating a questionnaire that we will distribute to the commission so that based on the results and the feedback that we get on the questionnaire, discussion can come about as to what the commission at large wants to do in terms of their 2023 goals, and as well as the individual commissioners, what committees you would like to serve on and for the upcoming year. So to that end, this is just an item for discussion. The commission may want to, individual members may want to address items related to this.
Can I jump in? So first, just want to state the obvious that now that we're not having a May or July show, that's not really an active subcommittee for the show 3. And then I don't know, I could make the motion, or if Michael wants to make the motion, if this needs to be a motion, but before we put out that survey, if we're going to split up the youth art programs into fundraiser and the art show, we should probably do that before the survey.
I could make that motion right now if this is an appropriate time. I'd like to make the motion to break those up.
Would you repeat the motion, please?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to break up the youth art programs subcommittee as it currently is viewed on our screen back into 2 subcommittees, one for youth art programs, which would be the youth art scholarship and youth art show, and anything else that falls under youth art, and one specific to the fundraiser, management of that and delegation of roles to other subcommittees potentially.
I'll second that motion, Michael.
Just to be clear, if I can jump in, we at this point, we don't require a motion. I think we just need general consensus and some guidance from the commission about how you want us to, or how you see the subcommittees breaking out in the future, and that will also shape our survey.
I think we also kind of discussed that community engagement is involved in every aspect. So I feel and Peter, please chime in here, that we don't need a separate subcommittee. It was more of a, let's try and see what we will do with it. Kind of, we formed it last year just to see what it does. But in my opinion, we've been engaged, all of us, in community engagement every time we attend a show, every time we do something. So I feel like we don't need a separate subcommittee unless the staff feels that when they commission it, we'll form it again. But from my end, I would like, with Peter's permission, since it's the 2 of us, to disband, and I would join performing arts with Zubin.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing, just to make sure I understand this correctly, for the youth art programs, these 3 subcommittees listed here are going to be broken out. And then we're removing the community engagement subcommittee, since that lives in all of them. Okay.
Angela, I have a question. With the current number of commissioners that we have now, are we still at a maximum of 4 per subcommittee?
We should have more. On some of these, we really should have more.
I think it's 5.
Okay. So with that, I want to bump Zubin from the alternate in strategic vision up to strategic vision, if he still wants to be considered an alternate. We've had those alternates all year long and haven't been able to use them.
Michael, you're my hero. I would love to, just because my experience these last several months performing arts, you know, the prior folks who were in my group, we did nothing. I mean, I tried to get an idea across the finish line. We ran into stuff. So, and part of it, I think what I'd love to do with strategic vision is, and I'm glad we're all talking about this, is having performing arts as slowly start gradually be part of that vision. Because I found that this year performing arts was not part of the vision. So I would love to, I also would like to be in a more engaged group, but also being with performing arts as well, which is my love in that sense from a personal standpoint. So thank you. But yeah, and I would love to be part of the strategic vision if I can be moved up from an alternate.
With that same conversation, I want to make sure everybody knows before that survey comes out that just because these are at maximum or that there are already chairs in these positions does not prevent you from expressing interest, because others might express interest in the opposite manner, removing themselves from these. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that's an inclusive process when that survey goes out.
So Ursi and Angela, if you could explain, so when are we looking at the survey being sent out? And then when, after the survey, do the new, I guess once all the results are compiled, when does, I guess, the 2023 session start, or when do people start in their new committees? Just for my knowledge, but also I think for our newbies as well who have joined.
Ursi, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I can tell you historically what has happened is that at least for 2 decades prior to COVID kind of course, as we all know, kind of smashed everything. But the surveys were put out in November. The commissioners had opportunity to consider what they wanted to do over the holiday season, and then discussion and decisions came about in the first January meeting. And that's what happened historically. We can, in concert with Chair Mardahay, who will give this survey her blessing ultimately, if we do what we've done in the past, can look at a slightly different time frame, but you know, that's, like I said, that's what's been done historically.
Okay, thank you.
I personally have previously liked doing it. The one time I think we did it in October for discussion in November, so that we hit the ground running in January. That timeline was my preference, but I know I might be an outlier in that, we've always done it the other way as well.
Remind me again, Ursi and Angela, the elections are in January, right? For the positions. I think that would be a good idea when we're restructuring, and I'm going to echo Michael here, just to do restructuring of the subcommittees and the members too. So maybe that would be a good timeline.
Again, Chair Mardahay, historically elections, yes, for 2 decades until COVID came about, were done in January. So
I'm in agreement with Michael that so if we're going to do pretty much restructuring the subcommittee and the elections, maybe since we already start talking about it, November is going to be when we decide things, then January is going to be the whole restructured. Are we okay with that, with the new subcommittees?
That works for me.
It's okay with me.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Okay, so sounds like we're in agreement. And while we're talking, I was just gonna add myself to the fundraiser, Michael, that's okay, since I've been working with you guys and you and Sarah, and I saw how much work and I enjoyed it immensely. So I would like to add myself to that as well. Thank you. Are we done with this item? Should we move to the next? Are there any other comments, by the way, about this? We're doing a lot of work and I'm very happy. These are all very important items we're discussing here.
Last thing, so are we merging community engagement and performing arts? Is it now just one committee, or is?
we are eliminating community engagement and
got it, we're
aligning
eliminating,
you in the performing arts. If you want to be a chair of that performing arts, you're more than welcome to.
Sure, I would be happy to.
Okay. So we are done with the unfinished business. Any last comments on that before we move on? Okay. So our next item is the new business. It's the capital projects update. And we have a representative, Mr. Phil Vitale, Deputy Director of Capital Projects. Do it.
Great. Thank you, commissioners. Yeah, let me share my screen so that we can walk you through this. You all see my screen okay? Great. Well, good evening, commissioners. I see some familiar faces here, and I welcome the new ones as well. So tonight I'm going to go through and give you an update on a few of our projects. Some of them I've walked through this group with before, and there's a couple of new ones as well. So we're going to walk through the Caltrain Plaza Public Art Project, the Orange Memorial Park Aquatic Center Project, Centennial Trail Improvements, and Linden Avenue Park. So let's start with the Caltrain Plaza public art piece. So if you may know, the Caltrain station was renovated, and as part of that renovation, a new plaza is being created. And with that, we had $500,000 dedicated for public art. We formed a selection committee, which was composed of then Commissioner Campagna and current Commissioner Foley, as well as 2 members from City Council and 3 members from the public. We did an extensive RFP process and selection process and identified art duo out of Berkeley who proposed art sculpture, a kinetic sculpture, and 2 stationary gear elements as the preferred piece of art. So we've contracted with them, and over the last year, they've been, advancing their design, taking it through city department approvals, and coordinating some logistics around the plaza construction. And we were originally anticipating that this piece would be installed, last year, but it ended up that the plaza construction was put on a later schedule in order to accommodate the construction of the adjacent residential tower going in. So our current schedule is to have the plaza constructed and the art pieces installed in summer of 2020. And this plan here shows the layout of what we've landed on for the art sculpture, as well as the 2 gear elements. Here you can see another perspective of that. Some things that have worked out through the design process is that the exact location of these elements to avoid other utilities that are in the area, and converting what we were planned originally as regular turf to be synthetic turf from a maintenance perspective. So this is where the project is now. The design team has begun fabrication, and I hope to come back in the next several months with some images of the fabrication. And this is just a sample of the construction, the level of documentation the design team has taken it to. This is just one of the many details that I've worked out, and we've gone back and forth with our various city departments, parks and public works, and engineering to make sure this meets city requirements and for long-term operations and maintenance. So I did want to point out regarding the Caltrain, the Plaza public art piece, that there's our project budget has been $500,000, and I think there was some additional almost $40,000 that was dedicated already from within cultural arts towards this piece. Currently, we're holding that $40,000, and we want to see, as the project is completes construction, make sure that there is no unforeseen issues that come up. And if that additional $40,000 is not needed for this piece, then it would free it up for some of the art elements the Arts Commission can select. And while I'm at it too, I've heard that there's been some interest. When we did the RFP, it was open that the artist could identify putting sculptures within the plaza or within the tunnel. This piece that was selected in particular is all within the plaza. And I know that there's been some interest in installing some future art within the tunnel that's already constructed. But subsequently, since the project's been constructed, we've water intrusion coming through the tunnel, through the concrete there. So which would prevent any kind of art to be directly applied to the tunnels. So as part of the Caltrain project, they're going to be installing some perforated panels that'll sort of cover that tunnel itself, so that that water intrusion isn't evident. So, you know, if assuming that additional 40,000 isn't used, I would say that that tunnel piece is pretty much moving forward with this perforated metal element.
Phil?
Sure.
To that end, would it be possible once that work is completed to have an update either to the general meeting or to the Urban Arts Subcommittee to better understand what could potentially be installed in that tunnel?
Sure, I think I can work with staff to understand what those opportunities are and constraints, and then an opportunity to come back and speak to it. I think that would be a whole other selection process of what
of course.
There.
But to understand those parameters once you know the project is complete and we can understand the parameters. So
yeah, I think we could
cool. Thank you.
And talk about that and actually show some imagery of what the
I have a question. What is that building adjacent to the plaza that they're just constructing? Is that commercial or residential as well?
My understanding is it's residential. The first floor is some mixed use commercial, and then the upper floor is a residential. Great. Any other questions about the Caltrain public art piece?
Oh, no.
I have a very small question in terms of just the kinetic. You said that it's a kinetic piece, and the water, the fountain, is that what's moving the piece? So it's going to be like a little pond in there that's moving it?
It's actually just a kinetic piece. There isn't a water element to it. It might be, it might look as though there's water with those blue elements there, but that's indicating the color of the metal portion of the sculpture.
Oh, got it.
But it will be kinetic, and it'll be coordinated to have lighting that works with the other lighting of the plaza too.
I can't wait. I use it every day. I'm a Caltrain user and I get off that stop every day, and I can't wait till it's up because right now it's a desolate place and I'm scared.
Well, we're hoping that this will help to activate it both with the sculpture and these gear elements. Great. Well, now I'm going to step on to the next one, which is the Orange Memorial Park Aquatic Center. I don't know if I've presented to this group on this project, but as you all may know, we have an existing orange pool in Orange Park, been around 50 plus years, has needed to be renovated or replaced. We did a feasibility study a couple years ago that identified that it would be best to replace the facility with a new two-pool facility. And we did some investigation of alternative site locations to place a new pool, because council gave the direction that they'd like to maintain operation of the existing facility while a new facility is built. We explored some locations, and it was determined that adjacent to the existing pool would be the best location, which would be the corner of Orange Avenue and Tennis Drive. As I mentioned, the project scope is to have a two-pool facility, a cool water lap pool, and then a warm water teaching recreation pool. When I say cool water, I want to emphasize that it's still a heated pool. It's just at a cooler temperature than the warm water pool. And the scope is to have an activity room, which could be used for parties, for training, for events, a swimmer's lounge, locker rooms, and then again to maintain operation of that existing facility so that we can construct the new facility, and then once it's open, close down the old pool and then demolish that and put some elements in its place. So this process has been going on for several months now. We started community engagement back in the spring. We did workshops. We did a number of tabling at events, surveys, and focus groups, presented to Park and Rec Commission a couple of times. And then just last month, we took the concept design to City Council, and they gave the direction to proceed with the concept design as proposed. We're looking to do construction documents through the rest of this year and into spring, and then start construction in the summer of next year, and then hopefully have an opening out in winter of 2025. This is the concept design that was presented to council. Here you can see this is Tennis Drive, Orange Avenue. The existing pool is in this location here. The facility just big picture entry from a small plaza here off of Tennis Drive. There'll be both men's and women's locker rooms that'll be accessed from each side of the entry desk. There'll be equipment spaces. We're having 3 family changing rooms that are from the natatorium, and then we'll have another locker room that's accessible from the outdoor pool deck. The indoor pool has 7 lanes, which is 1 lane more than our current pool, as well as a zero beach entry, which is the sloped entry. There'll be some play elements added here as well. The outdoor pool is a 25-yard by 25-meter 10-lane pool that's sized to accommodate competitions for as well as water polo and potentially synthetic or synchronized swimming. What's in the plan as it stands is a multi-purpose room. This is another space that could be programmed for various things such as fitness or additional activities. Currently, this is an ad alternate. It doesn't fit within the base budget. And you'll see that there's a new parking lot that'll be added here with accessible parking and a drop-off area. And another piece that we've identified is that as part of this new project, we have to relocate the existing Veterans Memorial, which includes a flame sculpture as well as some plaques. It's been identified that we'll relocate those to this corner here and create a Veterans Plaza. We did hold a focus group with some members of the veteran community, and we also invited a member of the committee here,
Commissioner Boldenweg.
Commissioner Boldenweg, thank you. And we do plan to have another another meeting with that veterans group, and we'll engage the Cultural Arts Commission as well as that Veterans Plaza advances in design. We're now working further with our landscape architects, so on the overall site project as well as that Veterans Memorial. Now I'm going to flip us through just a few images at the conceptual level. Here you can see the natatorium with the indoor pool. There's an outdoor pool. We're to address some of the wind conditions of the site. We did an advanced wind study of the project and identified that having a wind screen that wraps this outdoor pool and with a greater height on the side that has the greatest winds, it'll help to reduce it. The study has identified that the conditions inside of the pool deck will be to the level that you could do outdoor dining. So, and it has some elements of wood and some windows for transparency to have views of the park as well as from the park into the pool. I think I see a hand raised. Do you have a question?
Philip, I was relating to the art. I'm really glad to see that the sculpture has found a home and is going where it's going. Just had a question regarding the current piece of art that's hanging on the interior of the Orange Park pool, which I believe was made by city staff and or community members. Do we know what's happening with that yet?
We haven't gone into depth on that existing piece of art. I think what we could do is do another assessment of it and what the feasibility of obtaining it or even transferring it would be. Is that something of interest to the Cultural Arts Commission, and do you want to have a role in that?
Anything that can be used, repurposed for art, I think we want to do it.
Okay, I think what we should do from a project side is do an assessment of that piece and get a better understanding of what the viability of it is to relocate it or to reuse it, and as what the cost of that would be too.
It's in pretty, I don't know, I haven't looked at it closely, Philip. I feel like it's in pretty good condition still. Like I said, I haven't looked at the backside, but I I think that's a really great idea, and maybe we can incorporate that into some renderings here in the future. It's simply just, you know, affixed to the wall. It's quite easy to move. And yeah, Michael's right. One of our mechanics, who was sort of a fabricator on the side, an artist, made them in-house.
And yeah, if during that assessment, if you can see if it could be used indoors or outdoors, that would give us more flexibility in places, whether on this site or throughout the city, to repurpose that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And that also brings up, that this is an opportunity for me to mention, is that as part of this project budget, you know, we have a conceptual design cost estimate, and we'll be doing another cost estimate at this schematic design level. And from there, we'll have a better understanding of where the project stands with the overall budget. And I'm hoping to be able to carve out some money from that budget for pieces of public art. And what I'd like the commission here to do is to be thinking of some opportunities in the site or within the building of where we have budget within the construction budget to provide public art, what some opportunities would be, and then we can talk about a process. And then we have funds to then solicit or public art project itself.
Philip, I have a question about that, but I also see that Millie has her hand up. So do you want to go first?
Oh yeah, thank you. I just sorry, and this is so the paneling that I'm looking at it. Is that what material is that? I'm just thinking in the future, if we want to use it, for example, I don't know if I can, but murals, or let's say we want to dedicate a specific art and kind of put something up. So the paneling, is that plastic wall? Like what is it made of? Like the side railing surrounding the pool?
I think what the artist or the architect is proposing is a wood or a wood-like material that sort of speaks to the Fernike's building.
I see.
And I think a great opportunity would be, once we determine if there's an art budget within this, if there's money for art, we could do a deeper dive of where some opportunities would be within the project. So,
actually, that's really, oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
That's actually very apropos to what I was going to ask, which was, so Philip, you're saying like once we know the budget, I think what would be really great, we are anticipating an expanded budget in the next couple of years, and because this is something where we have an opportunity to identify areas that could be used for art, or potentially influence where art could go in the future. Could we think of this in a different way? Like, rather than we propose a budget and then there's a study for where to put art, could there be a study that's a little bit more open? And then in the future, when we do have more budget, we can say, oh, this would be a good time to put art in this place that that has, you know, that we've already identified has a good wall to put up a mural, or a good space to put a sculpture or something like that.
Yeah, I think what we could do is, as we advance the schematic design, this commission could sort of identify some opportunities where they think art could be, and then we could work with the design team to see what those art opportunities could be that would be either incorporated as part of the project construction or come later, or even to design elements that could accommodate at a later time.
I think that sounds great. And maybe working with both the urban arts and the sculpture subcommittees. So because, you know, if we do it during the general meeting, that could get quite complex. I think that would be great. And not think of it so much as like, we're just proposing a budget, but rather we're thinking of the future, and it might not be, you know, right when this is built, but it could be a couple of years from now.
Yeah, I think that's applicable to this project as well as some of the other projects that I'll be presenting this evening, where we can incorporate art, if not as part of the construction project, but where public art elements could be accommodated in the future. Great. So if there are no other questions at this point, I'll step through the other renderings. You guys can keep your eyes out for where you think art opportunities would be, and then we can meet with that subcommittee to dive deeper into this. This rendering here is a view of the outdoor pool. You can see the windscreen, which also has a element that creates some shade and opportunities for solar panels. This is the access to the outdoor, the locker room access from the outdoors. This is a closer view of that windscreen, which is wood-like material with some windows for transparency, both into the pool as well as out to the park. This is a view from sort of where the pickup drop-off area is, looking at the entrance of the building. This also shows that if we incorporate the multi-purpose room, which would extend out here. This is a view entering the building at the main lobby. You can see there's visibility to the indoor pool. There's a corridor that would lead down to the activity room and or the multi-purpose room. This is a view if we are able to afford the multi-purpose room, which would allow access to that and sort of a space that could spill out from the activity room. This is one way the multi-purpose room could be programmed, maybe for some exercise equipment, as well as it could be a flexible space similar to the Fernicke's building. This is a view of the natatorium with the indoor pool. Again, 7 lanes and this 0 beach entry. And this is the conceptual view of the building and signage from Orange Avenue. If you're driving or walking by, you can see the 2-story natatorium space. And this is the equipment room with some perforations on it to break up that facade. And this is the initial proposal for signage, which we're still advancing the design on that. So before I leave the Aquatic Center, any other questions about this project?
So
Are you?
Oh, sorry.
No, Michael, you go first.
No, I know you said to hold our ideas, but as I look at this one, there are ideas that could potentially go into that signage or play in tandem with the signage. Are you open to receiving those ideas at this stage of the process, or would we still want to hold those ideas as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to look to the Cultural Arts Commission of how we could engage those two pieces, and maybe it's that subcommittee that would be help to inform that.
Yeah, I think signage, I mean, that signage makes total sense to me in that it's already such a costly, monumental piece, and it'd be really fantastic if that, funding went to an artist that could really make something that represented the pool, also the park. We really want to make sure it does both, double duty. So this is kind of a placeholder today. I don't think staff are quite sold on the monumental letters, but I think it's definitely an opportunity we can look at. There's a ton of opportunity here as I look at all these blank walls and the empty plaza, and even this image, there's ton of opportunity.
Maybe even something dynamic over the pool if that's, yeah.
Great. So all with Cultural Arts staff members from Cultural Arts Commission to understand how we can better engage the subcommittee there.
My question was, and it was somewhat in that same area about the signage. Do you have a, I don't know, like a number, a dollar amount that you were commissioning someone to pay for the signage, so we would know what the budget might look like?
Yeah,
if we choose to commission it.
I need to look at our construction estimate and how much we've been estimating for that entry signage, and then understand as we advance the cost estimates at the SD level of how that pricing is. But I think we could work with the subcommittee on understanding what those parameters are.
Thank you.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm going to step to the next project, which is the Centennial Way improvement project. I think I presented to this committee before a sort of background on the Centennial Trail master plan that we did community engagement through the last year. and we're planning to take it for adoption early next year. But earlier this year, a grant funding opportunity came up, and we wanted to not let that pass. So we took what was proposed in the concept design, applied for funding through Clean California, which is a transportation grant to do beautification and improvement. We pulled together an application, and we were excited to be awarded $2.4 million towards improvement of a segment of the trail. And that segment is between Spruce Avenue and Huntington Way, or Huntington Avenue. It's identified here. So we took that was proposed in the master plan, applied for that. And with that funding, we were able to match it initially with park fees, but we did receive from Mullen's office. I'm not sure. I forgot if Mullen is a. Greg, can you help me on this one? What's Mullen's office?
Oh, a state assembly.
State assembly, and that was for this project, right?
Mullen's office was Linden Park.
Okay. Okay. Well, this one, we have funds that are matched. Sorry, guys, it's a long day. But it's matched through our park fees. So of 2.4 million from the grant, and then the rest is from park fees. So we have $4.8 million for this project. There are some timelines that we need to make sure it's completed by June 2024. So we've dove quickly into the community engagement and design process. The elements that were identified in the grant that we need to deliver would be a skate space, some exercise equipment spaces, sort of an informal lawn, a play area for both toddler age as well as school age, some picnic seating, an outdoor classroom, and a native garden with interpretive signage. There'll be some lighting along the trail as well. And as an alternate, since it didn't fit within the base cost estimate, was the design of a pump track. We'd like to design that as part of the project, and assuming our bids come in acceptable, we can have that as an alternate and accept it either now or plan for it in the future. As I mentioned, we began community engagement on this project. We had some stakeholder meetings with the skate group and the bike pump track group. We had a community meeting earlier this month. And as part of that community meeting, we gathered feedback on the skate park, the bike pump track, the sort of the play area. And then we also have some questions about public art. We thought that while this current project budget doesn't include public art, we wanted to provide opportunities for public art in the future. We asked two main questions. One was, which type of public art would you prefer? We offered murals, mosaics, sculptures, interactive, and other. And you can see here the results that came in from that was pretty close with mosaic and interactive. The other question we asked was, which public art theme do you prefer? We listed nature, history, transportation, and other. Nature was pretty popular there. So we did that both we had those questions at the workshop itself, and we did an online survey which was circulated and I believe shared with this group. So we're excited with this feedback. And as I mentioned, we don't have funding, we don't have for public art, but we wanted to identify locations and understand if funding becomes available, what some of those pieces would be. And I think this idea of incorporating input on public art is something that we're going to try to do with all of our capital projects as we move forward, especially since there's going to be some dedicated public art funding coming in the coming years. So as I mentioned, we did some stakeholder meetings, a community meeting with a survey. We're advancing design, and we plan to come back with a public meeting in December. I think it's December 8th. We'll share the meeting details with this group as it gets closer, and then go quickly into construction documents so we can plan to start construction summer of next year, so we can be completed by the late spring of 2024 for our grant deadline. So any questions about the Centennial Trail Improvement Project?
Philip, thank you for including public art in all of these focus groups now. I was glad to be able to attend, but I'm a little bummed out that I still don't see functional art there, even though that was the other feedback that I had given that was written down. And what I mean by functional is I want to look at any ways in these projects that we can incorporate art into the benches, into the street furniture, garbage cans, the lighting, and light poles. I think there are more artful ones that can be purchased with the budgets that might already be allocated toward those items. Or if there's an opportunity to supplement those budgets from cultural arts, from the sculpture subcommittee, or other things to just enhance this space in a more organic way, even as opposed to needing to raise a 15-foot sculpture. I'd like to start seeing stuff like that considered as a form of art or an option in these.
Great.
Love that idea. I as soon as you said it, I thought that the nature playground or the native garden area would, like, went to Davis and still go up from time to time, but the artist that did the fish bench, can't think of the name of it, Mercy, I'm sure knows off the top of her head, in the sculpture garden, like something like that would just be amazing in that
totally
garden, where you could teach kids about different plants and animals or things like that, but at the same time it's functional. I think that's super cool.
And I do want to point out that the landscape architect, when they're starting to advance the design for the segment, they did talk about we have some shade elements and how those can play off of the theme that's chosen. I think it's leaning towards a pollinator garden, and then potentially some other elements that would be within the park as part of the park construction budget. So let's think about ways that we can a committee on looking at those pieces for those pieces. But we do want to look for opportunities to bring in public art, either in those functional pieces or where it could be incorporated later, and starting to have these out. I think we could work with this commission as well to, as we begin community engagement for future projects, which we'll talk about next, how we can frame questions related to public art that are going to get the best, help provide the best feedback.
Thank you.
So, now I'll jump to the fourth project that we have to give an update on, and this is a very early one. This is Linden Avenue Park. This is on Linden Avenue. It takes over two spaces that are, we call them 616 Linden and 700 Linden. Those are the addresses. One's a parking lot and the other is a green space. This is a very early preliminary concept design that was put together in order for us to seek some funding. We've had some early community engagement on this, and we're excited to be cobbling money together. Part of this from Mullen's office, which is, I think it was $3.2 million, plus some money that's in the current CIP budget and some other funding sources. So I think we're aiming for, I think the overall project budget was 5 million. I need to look at that. But we're excited to have funding for this and we're getting ready to start the community engagement process. Again, this is very conceptual, the design here. We want to engage the community to further work through what the elements would be, both like play, recreation, plaza space, some sports activities, and seating and shade structures. And again, I want to, as we do that engagement process, talk about how we frame questions about public art and how that can be incorporated into this. So we're just getting rolling on this, and we'll be keeping you informed as we start community engagement, hopefully the early part of next year, so we can advance this project. And that's the update for the 4 capital projects that I'm working on.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm just gonna real quick comment. This is an amazing overview of all the projects that are being done, and there's so much for the commission. There's so much potential for the commission. I think I just can't wait. We have a work cut out for us for the next 4 years, I think. So yeah, it's great.
Great.
I just want to thank Philip for joining us tonight and credit him for being a very good partner with the Parks and Rec Department for not only engaging us in, you know, the needs for the park elements and everything else, but also as we revisit or review our art and prepare, you know, what does art look like in the future. He's been very open to working with us. And in fact, one of the topics that's come up through the Public Art Master Plan and in talking with our consultants is how do we find opportunities to front load the art as part of these big projects, as Commissioner De Natale has mentioned, you know, instead of some component that comes later on. And also just how lucky we are to have so many projects at hand, so many art opportunities. I think the commission has a very busy future ahead of you.
Thank you, Angela. It's been a pleasure working with the Parks Department and the Cultural Arts Commission. And in my previous work for a nonprofit, we incorporated public art and community engagement in that art process in all of our projects. And I really am excited to have those opportunities to do that here. You know, how do we not just bring art, but bring the community into that process of helping to identify that art and be part of not just selecting it and informing the design, but oftentimes, you know, creating some of that art. So we do have a lot of opportunities, and the fact that we're going to have some dedicated funding coming our way is even better. So I look forward to working with this commission on these projects and projects and the ones that are coming down the road too. So great, you guys will be seeing more of me with updates and hopefully new projects coming our way too.
I think you did an excellent job. This is wonderful. It's beautiful.
I agree. This is great. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you. Any questions for Philip before we move on to the next agenda, or comments about the presentation that you just saw? Okay, we're moving on to the next agenda. We have the subcommittees now. We're gonna move forward to strategic vision, and Michael, you want to take it?
Yeah. So recently we learned of some focus groups that have happened already. And so wanted to just give a rundown and update for the entire commission on what has happened up until today. First, I just want to say fantastic work is being done by everybody. Conversations that I've had with city staff and with the consultants recently is exciting, encouraging, and confirms that we're doing the right work with the right people. But I just want to make sure that this is known and recognized by everybody and that's done in a transparent way. So with that, we've made a request to be notified as the remaining focus groups are scheduled, and we'll have greater visibility into that, as well as frequency of the meetings and communications that the steering committee has with the consultants and city staff leading the projects. So that said, the surveys that we have right now, so for everyone to know that our community engagement process is ending at the end of November. So the survey closes November 30th. Again, they did 4 great pop-up events at those that we've talked about previously. And they've had meetings that date back to June. So most recently in September and October, they've met with the city's capital projects and principal engineer. They've met with the youth commission meeting. They've had an artist focus group on October 14th. They've also met with the South San Francisco Chamber of Commerce staff. So future meetings that are being scheduled, but a date not set yet, is the South San Francisco Art Educators, South San Francisco City Attorney, and the Virtual Artist Focus Group. And I say this because since these are not scheduled, we do still want to make sure that there are certain key educators that we've spoken with, that there are artists that we know of here as residents, business owners here in our community that may not have had a chance to really have that greater voice yet. So as we start nearing the end of this, I want to make sure that the commission has their voices heard. Definitely reach out to the consultants when you get a chance. They've invited feedback from all of us. And that said, I believe the next time that they're technically scheduled to come back to our meeting is that after this engagement process. We do have a subcommittee meeting scheduled with them for the first week of November. So the week of October 31st, actually. So reach out to myself or anyone else on the steering committee if you have feedback, or and we'll have another touch point with them at that time to help bring us to the end of the community engagement period. Let's see. Were there any questions on that so far?
Michael just had a clarification. So once the survey is completed, November 30th, when you guys gonna have your own subcommittee meeting, and do you think you'll be able to share it in January, or will it be sometime later?
So I think I want to defer to city staff on that, because I know that once the survey closes, they're gonna gather us one more time and let us know what that is, but I'm not quite sure on their exact timeline. Without Erin here, do we have insight into that, Angela?
Yeah, she's really the best point person, but I know the survey is going to be extended through the end of November. And she has asked for an update on the survey responses, like where we are to date, just so we can measure how we're doing, how much more of a push we can do. We'll definitely share that information with the subcommittee and look for your guidance on where to go next. But maybe some of those are the things we can figure out with the consultants that week of the 31st.
So the survey will come through the computer or in a meeting? How does that?
You bring up a great question, Francis. So the survey has been communicated by the city through their usual channels. It's not that comprehensive of a survey.
Okay.
As we had a chance to speak with the consultants in this virtual space, but I will say that there's been a desire for meeting with the consultants in the public space. So I believe that's something that we're going to talk to them about or discuss amongst the subcommittee in early November. Because obviously we have new commissioners that we would like to weigh in.
Okay.
But also I think what we feel has been missing is the open forum, the town hall type invited, every open invitation versus hand-picked focus groups. So hopefully more to come on that, but if that's something that the commission desires, we'll definitely push for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to Michael for bringing forth this issue of transparency and then city staff being very responsive. So thanks.
And again, that the work being done is great work. I think it's just knowing how close we are to the end of this community engagement piece. I want to make sure that we get all of our voices heard and the voices of our community that haven't been able to speak up yet.
I do want to add that the surveys, and just for the new commissioners, when you were there on Saturday during the show, they were given out. You can still access them through the Arroyo Municipal Building. They're still there. It's on the QR code, or you could still, I think, access it from the website. You can definitely participate as a resident. That they are accessible. Just to actually fill out the survey, it's still out there. Any more questions and comments for Michael and the subcommittee? We're gonna move on next to the sculpture, and I'm gonna give it to Lynn.
The sculpture committee met earlier this month, and we have two projects. I think you've all heard that we sort of gave up on the ball and bat project, but that is back on the let's take a better look at this. And also another project that Michael introduced quite some time ago. Michael, do you want to discuss that, or is it time yet?
Sure, I'll just give a teaser.
Just very briefly, yeah, you don't have to.
So as we've discussed in previous meetings, we were going back to the artist for the modern industrial piece that we had approved back in 2019. That was approved by council, and then the budget was frozen and restricted due to COVID. We have some ideas on that. So we want to put together a proposal and bring that back to the commission in November, on the agenda in November. So more to come on that, but we're in talks with the artist and trying to figure out if it can be done for the similar scope as last time, which it appears, no surprise, since 2019, costs have been going up on these materials. So there is slight increase in costs, but still very reasonable considering the type of public art sculpture that he does. So we'll have a location, details, proposal, all in November.
Thank you, Mike. That's it.
Questions? Move on to urban art.
So brief update. As I mentioned last time, we decided to focus our urban art activities and prioritize on a request for qualifications. So that's been drafted, a very good draft. We had a review. We met as a subcommittee, had a review of that draft. Aaron and Ursi are updating that. And this, sorry, just to remind everyone, this is a request for qualifications for muralists and other, and I'm going to give Raul credit for this one, outdoor surface art. So we're not totally limited to just muralists, but urban art that's not sculpture. And so once we have that request for qualifications, that'll help us start generating a list of artists for urban art. And that will help inform some of all these other projects that we have going or have on the idea board. And we're also intending to ask artists if they're willing to have their names shared with private businesses and residents for commissions. So it'll be a community art list as well.
Thank you, Risha. Youth art programs. I know Sarah is not here. Michael, you're gonna take it?
Yeah, there's no update at this time.
Okay, and next one is, I believe it's the Day of the Dead art show, and I think Lynn, you can
Yes.
talk about
Ursi has provided us with a list of statistics from the show, which is kind of interesting. We had 26 pieces submitted and 17 artists. we had Evangelino Portillo as our judge and only one overall best of show prize for $200. When Ursi said there were going to be 500 pieces, she was not far off, let me tell you. I have to thank Peter and Risha for hanging an entire room all by themselves, while Ursi and I put out rocks and champagne corks, and obviously very well thought out little projects, but it was fun. And the parents loved it. We also had the visitors list. It's almost a lost cause. We had 87 people sign that book in 2 days. And there had to be 3 times that on Saturday. Now, there could have been 87 people there that brought 4 kids with them, but it was nowhere near that number. So in any case, it was a huge success. I was very pleased, and I thank all of you that helped me out to get that done. I truly do appreciate it. We went in there with 225 masks and had 22 left at the end of the day.
Wow.
Yeah, some people took all day long improvising and improving and changing things. So it was interesting. It really was. The art is in the window right now, and there will be it will be on the virtual exhibit probably before the end of the month. And that's it. Again, thank you all for your help.
Ellen, thank you. Before we move on to the next subcommittee, I did want to just speak to the commission very briefly and encourage you to attend these shows, and not just because it's part of our job as commissioners, but also because you're art lovers and appreciative, and also it's a chance to meet your the public and just talk to them and the artists. I just can't emphasize how much fun it is. So yeah, the calendar is posted, in advance. So just make some time, just please attend. And it's not just we do need the help. It really, you come up a bit energized, and just the creativity. It's so inspiring. Yeah.
Well,
and then
I'm
you want to
really
say
glad
something?
I had an opportunity to attend on Friday because I had a meeting on Saturday, and I met a couple of the artists. I enjoyed the music, and really the children's, I should say youth display. It was absolutely awesome. I think I've only attended a couple of the previous shows, but this one, the Friday, as I said, and I shared that with my Seroptimus friends. So hopefully next year they will attend as well. I certainly will encourage them. But I really enjoyed, and the artwork that I purchased, they were impressed, and I was impressed with the artists. So I'm glad to be on the team, and hope I'll be able to bring a contribution as well. But I did enjoy myself.
Thank you, Frances. And I'm very happy that I've met some of you there. So absolutely.
One thing I would like to add to that is that not only you enjoy yourself is fine, but you have absolutely no idea how many people thank us for doing these shows. Whether it's parents or artists, they thank you, they tell you you've had a marvelous time and what a good evening they had, and that other cities don't do this. And it is very, very rewarding to hear that. It makes any effort worth the trouble. Thank you.
And on that note, we have another art show coming up in January, and I'm going to give it to Risha for our 2-dimensional art.
We
I have
do,
one
yeah.
question.
So this will be.
Oh, I'm
go
so
ahead,
sorry, Michael. Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
okay. I just had a question related to the winner of the art show. In the past, after our art shows, the winner gets a presentation in the front end of this next meeting. We didn't have that today. I'm wondering if we're going to have that for the winner in November.
I'm sorry. This is not one of my better days. All the artists that receive prizes will be invited to next month's meeting. And I think I did say that the artwork is already up in the window. And I think the altar will stay there through the end of the month.
Oh, and thank you I took all of the pictures and I will forward them to Ursi. So maybe when they do show up next month as invitees, we'll put some photograph as a presentation just so to thank them as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. So moving on to the January show, or the theme is abundance. So I hope Ursi will be putting out that message in addition to putting out the call for art submissions. It's 2D art, so any kind of two-dimensional art, and including photography, painting, drawing, etc., collage, etc. It's open to South San Francisco residents over the age of 16 for the juried part of the show, and then also to Bay Area residents, although if you're outside of South San Francisco, non-juried, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes. So non-residents, commissioners, and friends of commissioners are not eligible for the cash awards. And then to the point of what Lynn and Millie were describing, Ursi will be putting out a volunteer sign-up sheet. It is part of our duties as commissioners to be part of this art show to the extent that our schedules allow. So please note that the show itself is going to be January 27th and 28th. We will need docents for the show. So that's Friday evening and then Saturday during the day. And we'll also need people to help with intake of the art, as well as with hanging the art, and then sharing that art or giving the art back to the artists. I also want to note that I am pretty sure I have to travel that week. I will be back on Friday, and I can, as chair, do as much as possible that Friday and Saturday. So I'll block those days off. But just a heads up that really ask for help in that art intake and hanging the art. It's really fun, and appreciate people noting the schedule and doing what they can to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Risha. Looking forward to that one. Oh, can we, I know some of us are artists. Can we submit our own art, and what are the rules on that, just in case the new commissioners need to know about it?
Yes, of course. You can definitely submit your own art. It's just commissioners are not eligible for cash prizes. And then friends of commissioners, that means if you want to invite your friends, we will allow the fee to be waived on one piece of art per one commissioner friend. But then if they're not residents of South City, or they're going to be submitting as a friend of a commissioner, then they're not eligible for the cash prize.
Thank you. Any questions for Risha about that? We have about 3 months left for that show. And the next one is performing arts.
Hi, everyone. So no news per se. One idea I did, and actually it's kind of appropriate, that we were just talking about the January art show. I know, actually, let me step back. I know we were talking about August for the fundraiser of having, kind of this bonanza of music and art, performing arts, and then our fundraiser and barbecue and so on, whatever we do. August is a ways off. Just to kind of build up little by little. Do we want a small music aspect, not to take away from the 2D art for January, but do we want something? Like even if it's just one or two, either if it's a local band
Yes.
or high school band.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay, cool.
That'd be awesome.
Cool, because I feel it would be helpful. I'm totally stoked on it. I know there's things around this because I'm really jazzed up about this, and I don't want to make it too. I want to build up to August is where I'm getting at, so that we start getting the performance art going, small scale. And I feel this might be the showcase probably for this. Not sure quite yet, but maybe if I can be invited to the next subcommittee meeting, whenever that is, and if because we can talk about, do we want a certain theme of the music? Or do you just want an artist to come and perform just on the Friday or Saturday? Again, logistical stuff, but I'm sure I can start looking into, I'm even thinking, Commissioner Lester, some folks, any of our 4th, 5th degrees of Kevin Bacon, of people that we know that could perform or something, or if we want a certain theme, anyway, the juices are flowing.
Ruben, I would encourage you to just go forth and we don't have to stick to a theme. And if I can speak for the subcommittee, the January Art Show subcommittee is very open to whatever music and performance you wish to bring. So
okay, sounds good. Let me start. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I am your performer as well.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think we'll start submitting ideas. We can start emailing back and forth, set up some time, start talking about it a little bit more, and start formulating it. But I'd love to aim for January, something for some performer to happen at that art show. So
I love it. Cool. The next subcommittee is community engagement, and that's me. I have no updates other than say that this will be the last one probably, since we decided not to have a dedicated subcommittee unless the city staff needs a subcommittee specifically allocated to community engagement, in which case we can always, put something together. But this will be the last official subcommittee for me. Okay. Moving forward, I think our next item is items from commission.
I have one item, just to let everyone know that the Society of West Coast Artists is currently hosting a gallery exhibition featuring Skyline College students. So myself, as well as other South San Francisco residents and educators, are have art that's featured in that show. So it's running now through November 4th, every Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 3. And just about the society is, they're formerly known as the Society of Western Artists. They're now the Society of West Coast Artists. They're a nonprofit center supporting the arts and art education since 1939. And they're currently located at 527 San Mateo Avenue in San Bruno, if anyone is interested in checking it out. So
thank you, Michael. Yeah, I'm always looking forward to attending.
So is that Skyline College?
It's at the Society of West Coast Artists Gallery on San Mateo Avenue in San Bruno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, featuring Skyline College artists.
Oh, okay.
Including Michael. He's working with there too.
And others in our community, not just myself.
That's right. True.
Amazing artists that we have here.
Okay. Moving to items from staff.
This is our busiest time of year. We're entering into a whole bunch of special events from Park and Rec. The next one is happening this Saturday at Orange Park from 11 to 3. It's our Halloween extravaganza. If you all are interested in stopping by, we'll definitely welcome you. There will be games, a story walk, haunted house, some musical entertainment, and also for the first time, a trunk or treat feature of the event. And we are also going to have for the first time a floating pumpkin patch at Orange Pool that requires pre-registration. And we're also having a traditional pumpkin patch where we're intending to give one free pumpkin away for to each registered family. Registration for both of those events filled up very fast. But if any of you commissioners are interested in participating, just let me know and we can fit you in. Let's see, what else do we have? The next event after that is our holiday boutique at the MSB on Saturday, November 5th. That's where we have vendors selling a variety of crafts and wares for the holidays. So if you want to do your Christmas shopping, hope you can join us there. That program is hosted by our senior services team. And then another event in which commissioners are invited to join us for free with some pre-registration is the Thanksgiving Fun Run on Saturday, November 19th at 9 a.m. So the starting point is at 340 Point San Bruno. It's in the Oyster Point and Genentech area. That's also a really good community event. It's a 5K run or walk, and we have a lot of both. There are some raffle prizes that we give out at the end. So I will be sending an email probably early next week to ask for your RSVP if you do wish to register for these events. And then finally, another one for you all to think of and put on your calendar is the Wreath Workshop, which is a fundraiser for our Improving Public Places program. It's on Saturday, December 3rd from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Actually, sorry, I should stop. There are two sessions, a morning session from 9:30 to 12, which is a family-friendly session, and then an afternoon one from 1 to 3:30, which is for adults only. So this event is one of my favorite of all that we do. It's super fun just to kick off the holidays. So that is it. That's all I have.
So the Halloween is this Friday or next Friday?
This Saturday from 11 to 3.
Oh, this Saturday, okay.
You just put a
I'll try to
pin
make
in the
it.
note
I'll
for
see if
that
I can.
event for next year. As you were mentioning that, I thought, how great would it be if the Cultural Arts Commission sanctioned a pumpkin carving contest? I know it's your busiest time of year, and throwing one more thing on there, is never fun, but I think that would be a lot of fun. Even if it was a virtual, like Instagram type contest or something, but something for us to think about for next year.
That reminds me what we used to do, I think even just up to COVID, was the city departments would have a contest, a pumpkin decorating contest.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done
and then
that.
we had them displayed, but I think that got lost.
You have plenty going on. I mean, you have plenty of fun things already happening. I carved pumpkins last night, so it's fresh on my mind.
Oh, I think that would be fun.
I'm up for it. I love it. Anything. All right. Thank you, Angela.
Or see any other announcements that I missed? Or Greg?
I don't have anything different to add, but just to the Wreath Workshop. The events are fun that Angela mentioned, but if you are one of those that prefer, like me, to take your time at home or just really slow because you're artistically challenged in that regard, you can also pick up you have the opportunity to pick up a packet to do a home display of greens. And I think Angela or Greg can give you more information on that.
Thank you, Ursi. I forgot about that one.
The fun run. Sorry, what date was that again? November what?
Saturday, November 19th. And I'll also be sure to send you all a follow-up email so you have the information and can take a look at it.
Thank you. I'll try to make that one. Okay. We have next item is correspondence from Ursi.
Almost pushed the wrong button. Yes, the correspondence packet was emailed to you. There's a lot there. As we all are picking up in our live in-person activities, so is the rest of the world, or at least the Bay Area. So I think a lot of opportunities for holiday-ish events coming up. So you may want to take a look at that.
And before we adjourn, any comments? We only have one more meeting left before the year's over. It's November since we canceled December. So if you want to add anything to the agenda.
Unfortunately, I'll be in Detroit, Michigan, so I won't be able to make the November meeting. Sorry.
Okay. So the next meeting is November 17th. And if we have nothing else to add, we're gonna officially adjourn for the night.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Bye.
meeting is adjourned.
Nice meeting
night.
the new
Thank you,
commissioners.
everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
And welcome the
Welcome.
new commissioners.
Yes,
Oh,
Thank
See you in
you.
November.
It's an
Thanks.
absolute
Bye.
pleasure to be reminded.